When the news broke that Allegri was returning to Milan, the reaction was mixed. Excitement from some, but doubt from many. After all, his last spell at Juventus left a bitter taste. Critics called him tactically outdated, reactive, even anti-football. But maybe, just maybe, Allegri wasn't the problem. Maybe it was poor recruitment, unbalanced squad building, and a lack of vision that held him back. Let's not forget, you don't reach 2 Champions League finals and win 14 major trophies, including 6 Scudettos, by being tactically inept. Allegri's success demands a deeper conversation. Was he truly out of ideas, or just stuck with squads that couldn't execute his vision? Modern football is defined by 2 dominant tactical ideologies: positional play versus relationism. Positional play, think Pep Guardiola. It's about structure, space, timing. Players move within a fixed system, following strict principles. Efficient, precise, some would even say robotic. Relationism, by contrast, is more organic. It's built on understanding, movement, intuition. It improves the individual first, then empowers them to connect and improvise with their teammates. Claudio Ranieri, Carlo Ancelotti, masters of it. Allegri, he's long been more relationist than positional. Less obsessed with systems, more focused on synergy. So what does this mean for Milan? A club with a proud legacy, but an inconsistent identity in recent years. Can Allegri's relationist philosophy rebuild that sense of unity? Can he bring out the best in a young, talented squad without micromanaging their every move? This return isn't just a second chance for Allegri. It's a defining moment for him and for Milan. He can silence the critics, prove he still belongs, and show that relationism can thrive in the modern era. Or he might confirm the harshest opinion of all, that he's a man from a different time, trying to keep up with a game that's already moving on. One thing is certain, Milan gave Allegri the keys. Now it's up to him to show he can drive. So now we know the difference between positional play and relationism. Let's look at Allegri ball. Allegri Nation, what does the future hold for Milan? Now, Allegri, 5-3-2. Why? It gives him defensive security, it gives him security in midfield, and it allows him to deploy a split striker system like we saw at Juventus between Dusan Vlahovic and Chiesa. One striker that can drop deep, Vlahovic, and one striker that can run in behind and stretch the pitch like a Chiesa. It worked wonders at times. Now, I'm actually intrigued to see how he would deploy it at Milan. Would it be a Santi Jimenez with somebody like Pulisic? But then what does the future hold for Rafa Leao? 5-3-2. He wants his midfielders to be aggressive off the ball, but very, very, very progressive on the ball. The 5-3-2. Now let's look at them in build-up. Relationism. You don't give a team a certain structure on how to play out of the back. If the opportunity presents itself to go long, they will go long. And Allegri's Juventus used to love going long because sometimes it's too risky for them to play out of the back. So you know what? Let's go long looking for our number 9. But at times, they wanted to play out of the back. Now you can see from these clips, at times, you've got 3 defenders. Yeah, it's a 5-3-2. It turns into a 3-5-2 in possession. 3 defenders, 1 in the centre, 1 in the left, 1 in the right. Numerous passing angles, numerous passing options. But sometimes he wants to turn the 3, rather than having 3 defenders, a goalkeeper and 2 centre halves. So where does the third centre half go? He pushes into midfield. Why? To create an option to pass the ball forwards. It's always chopping and changing. And I feel like that's something that Milan fans are going to have to get used to. It makes it difficult for the opposition to interpret because there's no set way. And there's a reason why I said relationism, positional play. Positional play, there's a structure and they will do it from minute 1 to minute 90. Relationism, they might play out of the back with 2. 5 minutes later, they'll play out of the back with 3. 5 minutes later, the 3 includes a goalkeeper. It's all about chopping and changing. Allegri's job is to educate and teach these players when they should change shape, when one of them should push forward into midfield, when one of them should sit back, when they should go long, and when they should play short. So what determines how they play out at the back? The opposition. Every team in the Serie A is different. Some press high, some press in the mid-block, some don't press at all. Allegri, he will want to teach these players, if we do get pressed high, maybe go for the long option. If they try to press us in the mid-block, why not invite them into our own half and then go long? It's all about teaching the players what to do depending on the outcome, depending on the situation, depending on the opposition. And that's why, in my opinion, relationism, You tend to require some of the best of players, some of the most high IQ of players, players that are willing to adapt, that are willing to change, that are willing to look at the game from different perspectives and see which applies depending to the opposition. Now, when it comes to the 5-3-2, why does Allegri love it? And there's a mention of he always wants the opposition to go and play out wide. And it's something that I've seen Simone Inzaghi deploy at Inter. But why? Why do you want the opposition to play out wide? If you force the opposition to play out wide, it means the most dangerous area of the field, which is the central area where players make runs, where teams have shots from 20, 30 yards, you minimize that, you reduce it. Forcing the opposition to play out wide, to create overloads out wide, it means at best, they'll put in a cross into the box. And if you've got 3 solid defenders that win their headers, there's hardly any trouble. You're not facing any danger. There's a lot of teams that deploy this tactics where they force the opposition to go and play into the channels. And it's risky. Into the channels, one mistake, the ball goes out of play. At best, you're getting a cross. At best, you're getting a corner. And you could see from these clips, Allegri's Juventus, they would always force the opposition to go out wide. They want to create overloads? No problem. Ball match it up. Look at how many bodies Juventus would put out wide, trying to stop them from getting the ball into that central area. Why? Because they cramp out the centre. They've already got 3 centre halves, and those 3 centre halves are now anchored by 3 midfielders. They congest the centre, and because of that, the opposition will go where the space is. They always tell you, pass the ball into the space. The opposition, against Allegri, the space is out wide. But Juventus are more than happy for them to go out wide. They won't let them come inside to have a shot. They will force them down the outside. And that's when they're relying on their defenders to stop them from getting a cross in. If the cross does come in, you're looking at your defenders. You're looking at your goalkeeper to come out and claim. Now that we're aware, relationism, there's no set of principles that they have to follow step by step. There's no set structure. There's no set system. There's no set of patterns. How do these teams score goals and win games? And why do some players, especially history has shown, some favour the positional play managers? Because it gives them a guideline. It gives them a strict system to follow. And some, they favour relationism. A manager that gives them freedom of expression. Go out and unlock the toughest of locks. Go out and show me what you can do. Go out and play with your teammates. When it comes to relationism, you're now looking at the individual more than anything. You're looking at the individual more than the system. Can this individual pass the ball forwards when the opportunity presents itself? Can this individual carry the ball forwards when the opportunity presents itself? Can this individual create an opportunity? Can this individual convert an opportunity? I'm looking at somebody like Johnny Reinders, and I'm saying in this system, with freedom of expression all over the pitch, the X factor, the ball playing ability, everything that Johnny Reinders has in his locker will be on display week in, week out. And that's what Allegri wants. He wants players to go out there, play the game in their own unique way. And that uniqueness will be the reason why they unlock the opposition. But they rely on things like give and goals. You can clearly see from these clips from Juventus against Atalanta, they give and goals. Every time the ball goes out wide, there's somebody in the centre available to receive the ball. 1-2s, 1-2-3 passes, decoy runs, third man runs, late runs into the box, gate crashing the opposition. These are the things that resemble relationism. Just giving players the expression. Make the late run into the box. You make a run, you know you're not receiving the ball, but you making that run opens the door for a teammate to receive the ball in the dangerous area. If you want to pick up the ball, cut inside, give and go and have a shot, go for it. Go for it. My job as a coach is to improve your ability to strike the ball from outside the box. My job as a coach is to improve your ability to do a give and go with your teammate. On the pitch, you will decide when it's time to do a give and go. You will decide when it's time to shoot. And there's a reason why relationism so many times has been labelled as one of the most unsustainable styles of football. But for me, it's sustainable if you've got good players that understand how to play and that are willing to develop their overall game. You look at Carlo Ancelotti's Real Madrid. When it goes well, everybody turns around and says systems. There's no systems in Real Madrid. Look at the players, Vinny Jr., Mbappe, Jude Bellingham, out there expressing themselves, playing the game the way we all want it to be played. But when it doesn't go to plan, everybody looks at them and says, there is no system. I look at the individual more than the system. A manager is putting trust in you. Go out there and get the job done. But Juventus, Allegri, give and goals. Late runs into the box. Decoy runs. Dragging the opposition. Ball manipulation. Position manipulation. All of these things. Allegri will teach these players these things. But he will not tell them when and how to execute them on the pitch. Now, when it comes to Allegri off the ball, he's more than happy to sit back in his 5-3-2 and invite pressure. But the difference between him and Sergio Conceição, when Milan sat back under Conceição and they invited pressure, there were too many gaps in midfield. The players weren't aggressive. Players didn't have a zone to occupy and handle. Allegri, it's different. If we're sitting back in a 5-3-2, it's structured. We're winning our duels and I'm making sure the players are close to one another to support one another. That is what makes Allegri so known to be the 1-0 coach. He will score, and when he sits back, one of the worst teams to try and break down. But Allegri, at the same time, there is an element of pressing. It's not Jurgen Klopp, it's not Ralf Rangnick, high press, Gegen pressing, no. But he teaches his players how to press in a systematical way. He teaches his players how to press in a cohesive way. But at the end of the day, he won't tell the players when to press. This comes down to the players. Communication on the pitch. And it might just be from a fact of the opposition have just conceded. They look nervous. They look shaky. They look anxious. They don't look comfortable playing out of the back. The players will have to communicate with one another and say, you know what? Let's press them. Let's press them high up the field. Let's see if they can handle this. But at the same time, 5 minutes later, the players will have to communicate with one another and say, we are not going to press. We are going to sit back and wait for them to enter our phase of the pitch. And that's when we will press them aggressively. Allegri, he always wanted the opposition to get into the second phase and then he presses them. Because if he does win the ball on the transition, there's acres of space in behind. And Allegri's Juventus, they were a very vertical team. As soon as they won the ball, they would go into behind. They will go in behind for Vlahovic, for Chiesa. It's all about teaching the players to play in a variety of ways, but you will not decide how they play because all the opposition are different. You look at your teammates, you look at your players, and you trust them to find the solution. And that's why, like I said, relationism can go one of two ways. It all depends on how the players interpret it and how the players can interpret a game depending on the opposition, depending on the magnitude of things. But that is Allegri ball in a nutshell. Now, if you're new, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys on another one.